Hi, welcome to Monty's Misadventures. I'm Monty, and these are my misadventures. Today, we're going to be doing the Patterson loop again. This time, we're going to do it on my new motorcycle, my Kawasaki KLX 300R. I've spoke about this in a previous video. I sold my old KLX 250 and bought this one, which is a little bigger, a little peppier, and it's made strictly for off-road. But I'm not here today to do a review of sorts. I'm actually here to talk about why I'm doing this in the first place. I mean, what's the whole point of me going on rides on a dirt bike at my age? I'm 62, and I rode a lot when I was a kid, but I went for many years without riding, and all of a sudden I'm back doing it again. And we talked about this. My grandson and I have similar interest and activities, so he wanted to try this, and so I did as well. But it's like, why on earth would someone want to ride a motorcycle through the woods, or a bicycle on the road, or go hiking, or any of these things? And that's more of the fundamental question than just why this in particular. The fundamental question is, what drives a person to do an activity where there's actually no reward for your success. I mean, other than that you live to see another day and all that. But I'm not getting paid to do it. I don't win. I'm not in competition. I could suppose I could say that I'm in competition with myself. Do I do a little bit better each time I ride? And that's what I strive for. To improve on your skill as you go along. But that's still not really the fundamental reason. It's one of those things that, and we talked about this. I talked about this with my grandson, that oftentimes the most important things are hard because they're not easy. I mean, if that makes any sense. I saw this bird fly across the path here, and I'm not sure what he was doing. It was like a big buzzard or something. So I was looking for maybe a dead animal, but I didn't see anything. Anyway, this is hard, not easy, and that's where the reward is when you do something that's difficult and you see improvement at it as you go along. It gives you a better sense of self-worth or self-being. I don't know I'm stretching for a word now, but it's not really that simple. I think all people have this in them, where to say it's a competitive nature might not be correct either, as much as it is a desire to do something other than just sit on a couch and stare at a wall. It kind of goes along with that reasoning that no one ever lying on their deathbed wished that they would have spent more time in front of the television. So with that in mind, that's probably what inspired me to do anything in the first place, was the fact that, as you get older, people that in your life, or new in your life, start falling off. You start losing these people. They pass away for one thing or the other. Some, accidents, and others were just, health issues. And, initially, when you're a little younger, you're 50 or so, maybe late 40s, and somebody passes away that you knew as a kid, and you're like, oh, that's awful. Man, I can't believe that he's gone or she's gone. And they are, and it's just a fact of life. We all live and we all die. But then as you start getting older, it starts happening more and more often, and to the point where you look at your own life, a little self-reflection as to, if I were to pass away tomorrow, if something were to happen to me, would there be a legacy, or would there be anything that I would regret not doing? And and there's no way that you're not going to have regrets. If I found out I had one day to live, there would be so many things that I wish I would have done beforehand. But on the other hand, a lot of the things that I thought about, I've done. You know, I've made an effort to travel, to do things, to see places and people, and learn stuff as I went along. And that in itself is a kind of a mystery. It's why on earth do we so desire to learn things? I don't know. I mean, once you spend a life, say if you live to be 90 years old, by the time you reach 90, you've gained a lot of a wealth of information over your time. And if your brain stayed pliant, and have the ability to retain what you've learned, you've gathered a lot of knowledge. But on that last day, you're not taking it with you. The only thing that you could do was over time pass what you knew on to someone else, and that has its caveats as well. It's, what if you pass along bad information? You teach an idiom to your grandchild that turns out not to be a very smart one. And so they think this is the correct way to do things, and it's really not. But still, by doing that, you've passed along a part of you. So in a sense, because of that, people live a lot longer than their worldly bodies take them. In other words, what you've said to somebody will ultimately be repeated and said to someone else, and that person will repeat it and say it to someone else, and whether it's right or wrong, that's carrying a piece of you, and they may not even know where it came from, but it did. And of course, the same can hold true with how you come across this bit of information or whatever it is that you're retaining, that you know of, because somewhere along the line you heard this before. The things that are hard versus things that are easy. That's not something I made up. But nonetheless, that's kind of the reason why I'm here, why I do the things that we do. You and I, and everyone else. That also makes it a little bothersome when you meet people that don't do anything, when they spend their lives sitting on the couch watching reruns of The Price is Right or whatever TV show that they particularly like. You feel like that's a life wasted, and it may be, and it may not be. Who's to say what's better, what's right or wrong? A person could sit on the couch and never leave the house and still continue to have a very viable life. As far as the knowledge that they gain just simply by reflecting on things as they move along. As the day progresses. There are great thinkers. And I'm going to say I'm probably not a great thinker, therefore it's best that I go and do things rather than sit around and think about them. So there I am, riding a motorcycle. Why on earth a motorcycle? Why not a basketball hoop in the backyard? Well, I wouldn't mind doing that either, but it has to do, I think, with past life, and again, the people that I've known in my life that are no longer with us, that I did these things with when I was younger or were around, and it's sort of like me carrying on that legacy, and I don't want to let it go. That's a hard one to conceptualize, but if you look at it like what you're doing is in to have a legacy for someone else. This is what they did, or what you've seen others do, and you want to be part of it, and then you want to be able to pass this on to others, and that's the point of that. All right, so right here, what happened was I hit a limb pretty hard with my GoPro on top of my helmet. So I wanted to stop for a minute and see. Yeah, there I am. Look at me. Dang, I'm ugly. But I got good hair. You have to admit that. I do have some good hair. And as you can see, well, you might have called it out the corner there that I do wear full armor when I ride. So while you might consider this a risky sort of sport to do, but I do take precautions. I'm not going to go out there and be foolhardy about it, but I'm still going to take the risk that I feel like that are necessary to keep a person active. And that's one of the things too, is that you can't be scared of everything in life. I mean, you got to have a certain level of trust in yourself and your ability, and you can't just hold up in a room somewhere afraid to walk out of the door. You need to be able to conquer those fears. And a lot of things I've done in my life, that's what it was all about, was conquering fears. And oftentimes the fears were unfounded, but nonetheless, they're there. It's like when I was in the Navy, you go, first time you step on a ship, you're in fear of, what worse can happen. And really, I was perfectly safe the whole time. But, there are risks involved, but we mitigated those risks by taking precautions. You didn't walk out on the flight deck without the proper gear that you were supposed to wear. And you learned how to watch out for one another. So and there was that was Bird again. I don't know what he was doing. I can't see it, I don't think, in the video, but he was after something, and I never did find what it was. Maybe he was waiting for me to wreck. I don't know. And he's like, well, this guy's definitely going to be a good meal. He's a pretty big fella. I'm going to go over through the woods here and check on the lean-to. We've talked about this before. Somebody had built this thing back here in the woods. We don't know what it is. It's there. We looked at it. It was a lot better looking before, but that tree broke in half, so most of it kind of crumbled on itself. I think hunters were down here, but we like to make up stories of moonshiners and things like that. But honestly, I think people were hunting back here, and they just made themselves a little hut to camp out in. Probably kids. There were some initials carved in the trees around there. So anyway, back on the trail, and here we go. If you remember, we're at one of my favorite spots, Pea Gravel Hill. Here we go down the hill. It's so steep, but it doesn't look steep on the GoPro. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about before the lean-to, but had to do with taking risk and not being afraid, and how sometimes you have to push yourself to do things that cause you fear, but in the end you realize that you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Another great man said that once. Anyway, I'm just going to ride along now and let y'all enjoy the view as we move along. Hope I didn't bore you to death. I'm sure I did. Where are we now? Oh yeah, I know where we are. We're getting close back to home base. There are some of these sections that I was walking through here yesterday, and I'd like to go in and make some changes to some of the trail back here to just clean it up a little bit. But it's so hot out right now, you can't really do a whole lot. So once the weather changes and it starts cooling off some, I'll bring my machete back here, maybe a shovel, and find a few new paths. There's a couple places where I'd really like to put a switchback in, just for the walk, because what happens is now you're kind of walking straight up these steep hills that it's not hard. It's like sometimes when you walk down them, your feet want to slip out from underneath you, but it's just part of hiking. The dirt bike, it's getting to the point where I'm capable of just kind of pointing it through trees and go, and I can run over most anything and not really have too much trouble with it. There was a time when any kind of log in the way or sticks that were hanging down would just kind of stop me altogether. But I got it figured out. All right, we're going up through this path. I think we've already been this way once today, haven't we? But we'll do it again. I think this is like the area where I hit my helmet, with, hit the GoPro on top of the helmet. Yeah, that him right there just got me earlier. I don't know why I went this way twice. Probably just because it was so fun the first time. And there is the bottom line. The reason we do this. It's fun. I mean, fun things are. Somebody described. Maybe I read this in a magazine or saw it somewhere. I don't know where I got it from, but I was told that there are 3 types of fun. Fun can be divided up into something that's fun to do it, and then it's fun to think about doing it. It's like riding a merry-go-round. It's fun while you're on it, and then it's fun to think about what it was like on it. Then there are the things that are not that much fun while you're doing it, but once you've done it, it just seems like the greatest. Like bicycling. If you're doing a 20-mile bicycle ride, while you're on the ride in the middle of the summer and the heat, the sun, and cars running you over, it's just not that. It's hard. I mean, it's hard work going up hills, and you're dying. But when you finish up, the sense of accomplishment is so great. You think, wow, that really was fun. And then you have the third type, and that's the one where it's not any fun doing it, and then it's not even any fun when you think about what you just did. And it turns out whose idea was this anyway? What were you thinking? Gee whiz. But the second one is really what we're gravitating on here. It's the most important part is that it was hard work. I mean, it was really tough to do at first, but over time, you've gotten better and better at it, and it's still difficult, and you challenge yourself, and you sweat, and you work. And then when you finish up, you reflect on what you've just done, and I think the reward is so great that it will bring you back to it every time. And that's the type of fun that you have when you ride a dirt bike. It can be hard, it can be very difficult and frustrating, but when you have that perfect little wheelie over the bump or a little jump in the backyard and finish up, it's like, I almost wish I didn't finish up now. Let's do it again, but I am just beat. Probably have sweat dripping off. It was most likely over 90 degrees when I was out there this day, and that's about enough for me. So anyway, if you haven't already done so, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and listening to my ramblings, and we will see you next time. Peace.